What's up, everybody? I'm Dreadful Gooz. I'm here at Murder the Mix Studios, and today we're going to be talking about something that many of you may not want to admit. For some of the ladies out there watching this, hopefully there's some ladies watching this, but for some of the ladies out there watching this, this may not be an issue talking about. But for some of you manly beefcake motherfuckers like myself, it may be hard to talk about. Today, we're going to be talking about the one thing that we all have in common as guitarists: our love and our hate for the dreaded G string. Whether I'm playing extreme death metal or I'm playing something really, really mellow and chill that doesn't require a lot of high gain or distortion, I always like to make sure that my guitar tone sounds nice and full, which is one of the reasons why I cannot stand the G string. And I'm sure many of you've seen the memes. Many of you have also had issues with keeping either your G string in tune or just sounding weird from the rest of the guitar. So I want to tell you guys about some things that I do to make sure that I get a nice, full sounding G string and a good full sounding tone across the entire guitar. One of the things that's most important to me as a guitar player is my tone. And I'm sure it is for many of you, where we can go on for days about tone. Tone woods, pedals, amplifiers, you name it, etc. But a lot of people neglect to talk about strings. I like to make sure that no matter what I'm playing, whether it be extreme death metal or the nicest, cleanest, most mellowest of things, I like to make sure that my tone sounds nice and full, which is one of the reasons why I have this hate for the G string. I'm sure that at one point or another in your career or as a hobby, you've had an issue with your G string, whether it be that the G string sounds out of tune, it keeps going out of tune, you properly intonate it, and guess what? It just still doesn't coordinate or coincide with the rest of the strings on the guitar, or you're doing like these really nice, fast, lightning runs, and then when you get to the G string, it just kind of sounds weird, and then, I don't like that. I like to make sure that my tone is balanced, which is why I never, ever, ever use a plain G string. In a bit, I'm going to share some sound clips with you guys so you can better grasp what I'm about to talk to you about. But for now, let's get to some of the pros and cons as to why I prefer to use a wound third string. Let's call it the third string from now on instead of G string, because I don't really tune most of my guitars, or in the moment, any of my guitars in standard tuning. So for me, it is an F. So, goddamn, a lot of spit on that one. F. Fuck you. It's much better. Yeah, so let's get to some of the pros and cons. Pro number one for using a wound third string: if you're a shredder like myself and you like to do these, really fast runs that involve you using all of the strings on the guitar, whether it be your 6th string or your 7th string, all the way to the 1st string, balance. It sounds so nice and so fluid when you're using a wound third string, from the bass all the way to the treble. For the way that I play and my playing style and the way I like to do my phrasing, I don't want to have to think about certain things standing out that I didn't intend for them to stand out. So if a note pops out for a certain reason, I want to make it so that I make that note pop out, not that I'm fighting my guitar to kind of keep that note tamed, or at least keep that note, glued together with the rest of the notes that I'm playing. With the wound third, it's a nice, easy transition, and that's something that it's one less thing to worry about, especially when I'm playing on stage, and even more so when I'm recording. I have had several occasions where I've had recordings in the past that I was doing where I'm just like, oh, that note, and every note on the G string just bothered the crap out of me. So balance. Try it. Trust me, it will. And you're going to see it in some of the sound clips that I'm going to post up in a few minutes. Pro number two, tuning stability. It stays in tune. it actually stays in tune, unlike the plain third or G strings. They just are superior in tuning stability. If you're recording or you're playing live, trust me, these are both, in any case that you play guitar, one of the main things that your guitar should do, whether you're a good player, a bad player, a super experienced player, or a novice player, the one thing that your guitar should always do is stay in tune. If you set it up properly and, do all the things that should be done to it, it should stay in tune. If it's not staying in tune, especially, I've seen some people with really, really, really expensive guitars in where their G string or third string just will not stay in tune. That is a pain in the ass, especially if you're dropping thousands of dollars for a guitar that literally should do everything and anything that you want it to do. Musically, of course. Don't expect your guitar to give you a hand job, at least not physically, maybe mentally. Create some really cool stuff with it that will give you that sort of sensation. But, musically. Remember, musically. Pro number 3, power chords sound big and full, even on that third and fourth string. You can really dig into those strings when you're doing power chords, and you get a little bit just more out of them. And that's something that you can't really do as much with the plain third string without it sounding either like the note is cutting off or it, again, going out of tune. Now, let's talk about the cons. If you're trying to do, Dimebag-esque type squeals, you may have a harder time doing them with a wound third. For me, the whole not being able to do the harmonic squeals, that's not a big issue for me. I hardtail a lot of my Floyd Roses. If you've seen some of my other videos where I talk about that stuff, I hardtail my Floyd Roses just because of tuning stability is better for someone like me who's doing a ton of studio work. And back in the day, I did used to do a lot of, dime squeals. I'm a huge Dimebag fan. But these days, I just don't do that. My playing style has changed. So it's not a big issue for me. But if it is something of an issue for you, then again, maybe the wound third just may not be for you. Harmonics tend to be easier to get when you are using a plain third string as opposed to a wound third string. This also depends on the player and the player's style. Me personally, I have no issue with getting natural harmonics to come out and getting also pinch harmonics to come out on a wound third string. The second con to a wound third string is just preference. If you're someone who doesn't like a more balanced, fuller sounding string or tone, and you like the way that, the regular plain third string has sounded for you and how it sounded on many records that you've heard, then go for it, So many people can still make it sound good. I'm just saying my experiences that I've had, and I'm trying to help some of you who may be having issues, whether you're recording in the studio or just, keep having a guitar that just gives you problems. But if it's your personal preference to just use the single, regular plain Jane third string, and you like that tone and you like that style of sound, then go for it. As long as you can make it work for you, that's what's the most important. Let's get to some playing examples so you can see and hear what I was talking about. All right, so we're going to be addressing all the points that I was speaking about earlier. First, let's take a look at what I was talking about in regards to balance. Again, it sounds good with a wound and with an unwound third string, but pay attention to the balance when I go from the low strings to the high strings. Let's start off with the regular unwound third string. All right, so let's take a look at some shredding with a wound third. And again, this is in reference to how much better, in my opinion, this balances as opposed to having a plain third string. The next thing that we're going to be taking a look at is the power chords. Remember, what I said earlier is that you can really dig in to those power chords and it doesn't sound like it's going out of tune. Let's take a look at it unwound and then wound. Let's also take a look at single notes played on the third string, wound and unwound. Let's start off with unwound. Now, again, when I'm playing without a wound third, I feel like I have to bend the notes in and out of tune, especially when I'm doing like single string runs or I'm just playing single or singular notes on the third string. With the wound, it's just like, man, I can just do what I gotta do and not worry about having to fight the guitar. I can just play the note and play it as expressively as I want or as sterile as I want, and it will sound like the note that it is supposed to. Let's take a look at some examples of playing single notes on the wound third string. Here are some pinch harmonics without a wound third and then with a wound third. My party people, salute, and as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow all my social media links down below. Peace.